What's up, folks? It's your buddy Fatal Roadie. We're going to do the review for tonight's SmackDown Live. It started off with a photo shoot of Jinder Mahal holding the world title. I guess he thought he's now the title, being that he took it. Shane McMahon walks in behind him and says that you need to earn that, and that he's taking the belt from him and returning it to its rightful owner, which is Randy Orton. The show comes up and Shane McMahon walks out to introduce the U.S. champion, Chris Jericho. They talk about their the upcoming match, the rematch against Kevin Owens for the title. AJ Styles music hits. He comes out and says that Chris Jericho, he doesn't think that he's going to be keeping his title. So Chris Jericho starts to put AJ Styles on the list, and Kevin Owens comes out and interrupts and tells that everything between Shane, AJ, and Jericho, that what they're griping about means absolutely nothing. Owens basically says that the only thing that matters is me getting my title back, and tells AJ Styles that he needs to get out of his ring. To which AJ Styles jumps out of the ring, rushes Kevin Owens, and beats the hell out of him. The first match of the night is Jinder Mahal versus Sami Zayn. Jinder Mahal was accompanied by the Singh brothers, formerly known as the Bollywood Boys. It was an okay match. There was a whole lot of interference from the Singh brothers on the outside. Sami tried to do a tornado DDT off the top rope, failed in trying to execute that. Jinder Mahal got the win. Apparently somewhere in the throughout the match, Jinder got his mouth busted open because you could tell he was bleeding towards the end of the match. Backstage, they had the welcoming committee, Natalya, Tamina, Carmela, and James Ellsworth confront Becky Lynch. Excuse me. Basically saying, you need to choose a side. Charlotte has stabbed you in the back before, and she'll probably do it again. Becky said, I'll think about it. It looks like she had some thought on it. We have another cut to Dolph Ziggler and bitching about Shinsuke Nakamura, saying that he wasn't impressed. Shane walks up and confronts him, and Dolph Ziggler says that he feels sorry for Cara, who he's going to be having a match with later on. The next match we have is Ty Dillinger versus Aiden English. Pretty short match. Aiden English starts off with his singing bit that he does, which is interrupted by Ty Dillinger. Like I said, it was a very quick match. Ty Dillinger got the win. My biggest complaint with this match is that it was just everything that was going on with the announcers. They were talking so much and about almost some of the times nonsensical shit that it just threw me off of the match. I was like, mute. If I knowing now what it did then, I probably would have muted that match and probably would have enjoyed it a lot better. There was the cut backstage after that. Chris Jericho does an interview, and Aiden English comes walking up Jericho tells Aiden English to stop crying, and then proceeds to put Aiden English on the list. Then we had a interview with Natalya, who was supposed to have a match tonight, and she was beaten by Natalya, Carmela, and Tamina, which brings us to the next match of Naomi and Charlotte versus Natalya and Carmela. My biggest complaint on this is we have a new person in SmackDown, in Tamina Snuka, and she's not used. This would have been a pretty good time for her to make her SmackDown debut in the ring. Instead, they keep her off to the side with James Ellsworth. Naomi comes out, does her dance bit. Charlotte's music hits, but she doesn't come out. So for the good part of the match, it was Naomi versus Natalya and Carmela. It was an okay match. I thought it was decent. It's about 3/4 of the way through the match when Naomi was starting to get beaten down. Charlotte's music hits and she comes limping out and gets in position for the tag. Naomi tags her in and she immediately starts beating everybody up. But Natalya and Carmela got the victory on it. After I look at my notes, excuse me. Then they proceeded to beat down Naomi and Charlotte. Becky Lynch's music hits. Becky Lynch comes walking out, confronts Natalya and the group, looks over Charlotte and Naomi, and she starts shaking her head like, I'm gonna join you all. Starts shaking everybody's hand, gets over to James Ellsworth, goes to hug James Ellsworth, and throws James Ellsworth into Natalya and proceeds to try to beat down the rest of the women, which starts off this big whole brawl in the ring. The welcoming committee, as I guess they're starting to be called, beats down Becky Lynch, leaves all three of them in the ring. The next match was Dolph Ziggler versus Sin Cara. Dolph had the majority of the offense on it. Sin Cara came back. He had a pretty good couple moves. One move in particular that I thought was rather impressive, that Sin Cara had Dolph Ziggler on the ground, grabbed him by one leg, lifted him up, and powerbombed him. That you need a lot of strength to do that, and I was really impressed by that move in this match. Unfortunately, Dolph Ziggler got the win. I thought it was rather funny, and I pointed out on my notes that JBL had a bit of a slip and referred to Dolph Ziggler as Dolph Zigger.
Oops.
I'm pretty sure some other wrestling outlets are going to catch on that and have a John o'clock moment if that points out to any channel that I should be referring to. We later have a video package of Lana, supposed to be debuting on SmackDown, and this seems to be like it's going to be turning into another one of those Emelina moments where it took like I don't know how many months of she's coming back. Finally, she does, and I don't know. She's still holding on to that stripper vibe. We had another video package of the Fashion Police, Brazongo, and done in the style of Law and Order, which I thought was rather cheesy. I wasn't too crazy about that. That's definitely a low point in this show, which brings us to the main event. Kevin Owens versus Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho for the U.S. title, and AJ Styles is banned from the ring due to the fight that had happened earlier in the night. Jericho had a good portion of the offense on this in the match. He was working on Kevin Owens' injured hand from Payback. They run out of the ring. They do a couple spots there. Everything goes back and he runs back in the ring. Kevin Owens knocks Jericho out of the ring and hits him with a cannonball up against the barricade. Excuse me. Chris Jericho tries to get him into the walls of Jericho once, and Kevin Owens flips him out of it. He then goes for the walls of Jericho again, nails it, and Kevin Owens was able to grab the rope. A short second later, he goes for a third walls of Jericho, and same result. It gets him in a rope break. They end up fighting outside of the ring. Kevin Owens gets Chris Jericho close to the concrete and DDTs him into the concrete. He gets him into the ring, does a pop-up powerbomb, pins him, wins. The referees is looking at Jericho. The paramedics come out and start looking at him as Kevin Owens comes back in the ring and starts beating up on Chris Jericho, saying, "I was never your friend," and walks away. Paramedics and everybody are looking at him. They start walking him away from the ring. And Kevin Owens comes running back out again, starts beating on him, reaches behind the barricade, grabs a chair, was getting ready to hit him with it. Excuse me. And puts his head inside of the steel chair and then slams Jericho into the ring post. Lays him out. You can see on one of the close-ups that Chris Jericho had a busted up lip again. A whole bunch of referees come out and escort Kevin Owens out of the away from the ring. I was honestly thinking, excuse me. And for anybody in the comments, no, that's not a beer. I was honestly thinking that Kevin Owens was going to get beaten up by AJ Styles after the match, being that he was not allowed to be anywhere near the ring. That didn't happen. This was just like last night's Raw. This was rather subpar. I wasn't too crazy about it. 3, 4. We only had 5 matches tonight. Out of all of them, I would probably say between Jinder Mahal, Sami Zayn, and Aiden English and Ty Dillinger were the only real good matches that I liked. I mean, the women's match was okay. The Sin Cara Ziggler match, it was decent. It had a bunch of pretty good spots, but altogether, it just had too much filler in it. It was just I didn't like it. Maybe since they've gotten Payback out of the way, and they can now focus on storylines. That being because Payback was rather broken. Not broken, but the storylines between SmackDown and Raw were kind of up in the air because a lot of matches kind of teetered on Payback. Being that Payback's out of the way, maybe, fingers crossed, maybe we can get something going out of this. So I don't know if this means that Jericho is going back to Raw, or if he's staying in SmackDown. I don't know. Well, I mean, I know Jericho's going on tour with his band, but I don't know if this means that he, his official spot is back on Raw, or if they're going to swing it some way for, I think probably the next pay-per-view that he would be available for after his tour would be SmackDown. SummerSlam, which would probably be more appropriate, being it's one of the big four for the WWE, for Jericho to come back. If he's going to stay on SmackDown. But we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see what goes with that storyline. There are reports that both touching on a bunch of stuff that's been going on in WWE. Seth Rollins and Finn Balor are supposed to be lining up with stories for the Universal title and Brock Lesnar, which they need to do something with, because just like it was said yesterday, the Intercontinental belt is the #1 belt on Raw, which I agree with, being that Brock Lesnar is sitting there fondling his nuts in the corner with the Universal title. Universal title right now means absolutely nothing. It was almost like when the world title was on SmackDown and there was no top belt on Raw. Basically, the U.S. title, which was then on Raw, became the top belt because they didn't have a top tier level belt for Raw. Anyways, that's for another story. We're talking about SmackDown. Another thing I didn't like is the fact that they didn't use Tamina. There was a perfect opportunity with the women's match, and they stuck her to the side. I don't know why. Like I said, it would have been a really good opportunity. The biggest thing I don't like is that Shinsuke Nakamura wasn't there. His only presence in SmackDown right now is through a video package saying that he's going to be debuting at Backlash, which I think is an incredible mistake. They need, granted, people know him from NXT. I have not watched NXT. I didn't get into it, but so the people at NXT know him. But people like me, who are just seeing like some matches that were from his NXT days, that's all I know him as. He looks to be a good wrestler. I have high hopes of him being a pretty good performer in the ring. I'm pretty sure people who have already seen him already know this, but they need to put him into a match. Even if it's something short, even if he makes quick work out of Jericho just to make the which I'm assuming is going to be his match at Backlash, just that much more. Hey, look at what this guy can do. They need they need to use him before Backlash, which I doubt they will. But yeah, that was SmackDown. Like I said, it was below average. I wasn't too crazy about it. Hopefully we'll improve next week. But let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for subscribing. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you know when I'm uploading more videos. I have a bunch of videos set up. I'm coming up with more as the day goes. Well, I'm not going to be doing solely wrestling bits, as you've probably seen some of my other videos. If you haven't, check those out. But we'll see what we can do with this. If you have any other ideas, leave a comment. Like I said, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'm going to go ahead and jump. I've been Fatal Roadie. You've been awesome. And let me let you know if it's too loud, you're too old. See ya.